Welcome to Spider-Man Miles Morales right here at Comicstorian. Comicstorian is where we take some of your favorite comic books, we break them down into digestible bites, and we read it back to you in a narrative fashion. I sit here and I tell you the story of what happened in your favorite comic books, acting on voices for various characters to allow you to be able to catch up with comic books and get on with your busy life. Now, Miles Morales in general is a very confusing individual in the comic book universe, just because of his origins and the various confusing storylines that he's been a part of. But they recently rebooted Miles Morales' comic book, and they're trying to make it very straightforward. So this is issues 1 through 3 of the rebooted Miles Morales line. And as of right now, he has been a part of the 616 since the beginning, even though he knows his true origins. His family has been here, he has worked with Peter Parker, everything is normal. If you've seen the movie Into the Spider-Verse, it's very much similar to that origin at this point. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget, if you like this type of content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and catch us over at Patreon for early access, and I'll see you at the end of the video. It was another day in New York as the friendly neighborhood wall crawlers swung through the busy streets of Brooklyn. Except, this was the other Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and he was on his way to his creative writing class, holding onto his journal, which he was almost late for. But Mr. Samudi said that they were to write in one throughout the semester, something about a place where a writer can truly be honest. Either way, Judge said that it was an easy class, so Miles figured why not. The thing was, it felt pretty good to get all that stuff out, even if no one was reading it. It was the story about him. That he was bitten by genetically altered spiders that gave him spider powers, that he was endorsed by the original Spider-Man, that his father Jeff had his own secrets too, that he had worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. and his uncle Aaron was a supervillain known as the Iron Spider. The only person that he knew that was a real hero, though, was his mom, Rio. She was the chief nurse at Brooklyn University Hospital, and that takes real guts. The original Spider-Man once said to make sure to keep his secret identity, well, secret. But it's been a lot easier now that he was able to tell his parents that he is Spider-Man. Well, one of them at least. There's quite a few spider people. During the week, Miles spends his time in Brooklyn Visions, a high school where he stays on campus throughout the week. He shares his room with two guys, Judge and Genki. Genki is the only other person who knows his secret. Being Spider-Man is great. He gets to help people while hiding in plain sight. And the only drawback is that often it leaves him awake at night. So much adrenaline is pumping through him that he can't even close his eyes, and by the time he finally does, well, it's time for class already. But if there's one thing about school, it's Barbara. Barbara is his not girlfriend. They aren't putting labels on things yet. This week is cool though. Barbara invited him to hang out with her and her little cousin Eduardo. It was nice. They got ice cream. And they hung out by the bridge. The truth though is that he's confused. Confused about Barbara, confused about school, confused about the world. He is Miles Morales. He is Spider-Man. And he's never been more sure of his powers. But he's never been more confused about his responsibility. After a night of web swinging, Miles begins to head back home when suddenly he hears an alarm going off. He rushes over to the source of the alarm to find a group of soldiers stealing something. Lots of somethings. Miles swings down to the alleyway stating that he is going to take a wild guess and state that the stuff doesn't belong to them, seeing as how they're moving it out of a hole in the side of the building. The soldiers all turn their attention on Miles, but he notices something. The soldiers are short. Before he can answer it any further, Miles' spider sense goes off and a giant object comes rampaging through at him. As Miles is knocked to the ground, Rhino stops, telling him, "Oh, it's you, that kid Spider-Man. Thought you were the other guy." Miles gets up collecting himself, asking, "What's going on here?" And Rhino tells him, "It's none of your damn business. Just go home and play Sega or whatever." Miles asks, "Really? None of my business? And Sega? How old are you?" Rhino looks down. "I ain't done nothing wrong, but if you want to tussle, fine." Miles jumps on and Rhino punches him in the stomach back to the ground. He then says, "All right, let's try this." And he begins to web Rhino up, but Rhino flexes his muscles, breaking out of the webbing rather easily, asking, "What gives? The other guy's a lot faster." Miles leaps over the charging Rhino and starts to web him up again using his thickest webbing. Rhino smiles as he rips out of that webbing and Miles asks, "Really? Are you serious? I can't make it go any thicker. You know what? Here." He gives Rhino a venom blast, but as Rhino falls to the ground, he gets back up telling him, all right, you win. But that ain't my job. I'm just here looking for my niece. Someone snatched her and those creeps are gonna lead me to her. You know, the ones getting away." Miles yells in frustration, webbing up the fleeing truck, and as the truck crashes, the little soldiers come out with their hands up. Miles takes the helmet off one of them, and as he does, he sees the blank stare of Barbara's cousin Eduardo. Confused and flabbergasted as to what's going on, he asks, "What the heck is going on?" And Rhino yells, "I don't know, I swear." But before Miles can ask another question, Eduardo electrocutes him, and everything fades to black. As Miles opens up his eyes, Rhino asks, "Are you all right?" And Miles gets up rubbing his head, stating, "Thanks for not squashing me while I was knocked down." Rhino tells him, "Look, I wasn't involved in whatever that was. I was just looking for my girl's niece." Miles stops, asking, "Wait, you have a girlfriend?" And Rhino stops him. "A wife, actually, but not anymore. Anyway, Oksana still has family around. I'm just trying to look out for them. And I can still do that for her at least. Her niece is gone, and the girl's mom is too messed up on dope to do anything about it." Miles stops. "Okay, well, as long as we're sharing, that kid who zapped me, that was my friend's little cousin." Rhino asks, "Your friend's cousin is a supervillain?" And Miles stops him. "No! Eduardo doesn't even have powers. Well, he's not supposed to anyway." Rhino looks around, telling him, "Something weird is going on here, kid." And as the sun comes up, Miles stops everything. "All right, I gotta, go." And Rhino laughs. "What is it, past your curfew? How old are you? Anyway, maybe we can work on this together. Let's meet back here at 10 p.m. I'll do some poking around in the meantime." Miles tells him it would be so much easier if they could text, but Rhino says, "Nope, no phones, don't like them. Be here tomorrow night, kid." The next day after school, Miles stops by Barbara's place to try and get some answers out of Eduardo. But the second he rings the doorbell, Barbara comes running out crying. She yells that he's gone. She tells him that Eduardo is missing. He was coming home from playing at the park, and he just disappeared. Miles tells her not to worry. He's sure that Eduardo is out there. He'll find him. Barbara asks, "What is that supposed to mean? You're gonna find him?" And Miles plays it off. "Well, I just meant," Barbara tells her, "it's sweet, but I need to go now and be a family. Okay?" As Miles returns to the dorms, Genki says that he did some digging. He put his sleuthing skills to the test, and Miles asks, "Did you really just say that?" Genki tells him that he did some looking on some black market sites and he found a message board arranging delivery uniforms. Customized, kid-sized, tactical uniforms. One fireproof, one elastic, one shock resistant. He'll text the address. So a short while later, back downtown, Miles swings down and Rhino tells him, "Looks like you made it, kid. Mommy and Daddy give you permission to be out this late?" Miles ignores the comment, telling him that he has a lead. Might not be anything, but someone delivered uniforms like the ones the kids were wearing to an address. Rhino tells him, "Good, we can go kick the door in, but if we do that, the cops are going to be So Miles swings across the city holding onto a web seat for Rhino, and he says that he's getting his exercise for the week with this. Rhino laughs, telling him it must be nice to be young and have a normal body. "I wouldn't know what it's like, people thinking they know you because of how you look." Miles tells him that he might know more about that than one would think. But as the two reach the address, they see nothing out of the ordinary except for the truck with a bunch of armed guards surrounding it. Rhino says that this place used to be a safe house for several gangs way back in the day. Most likely someone old school inside. Miles tells him that he'll take a look inside, so wait here while he sneaks around. So he climbs up the side of the building and using his camouflage abilities, he sneaks inside and he sees a group of men. One of them says that it's all here, tested and everything. Tombstone, the gangster, then steps into the light stating that he doesn't normally like doing anonymous business. "But with goods like these, mindless superpowered twerps who will do anything they're told, what's not to like?" Tombstone stands there and then he pauses. "I'm getting an itch. Someone's watching me." He spins back and opens fire on the wall where Miles was, and Miles jumps up, telling him, "Maybe your back is itchy because you forgot your lotion." But it doesn't take long for Miles to take out the thugs, and as he stands there starting to punch Tombstone, Tombstone doesn't even seem fazed. "Is that all, kid?" He then grabs Miles by the neck, bashing him on the top of the head. Suddenly, the wall behind Tombstone bursts open, and Rhino steps in, telling him, "It's been 5 minutes!" Miles yells, "Thanks! Now hey, watch out!" But while Miles is trying to web up Tombstone, he ends up webbing up Rhino because of how large he is. Tombstone knocks the both of them down, and Miles says, "Okay, that was embarrassing. Let's try something different. You ever watch wrestling?" Rhino gets up charging at Tombstone, but as Tombstone moves out of the way, he asks, "Is that really all you guys are gonna do?" Miles then tells him, "Nope," and he begins to web up past him. As Tombstone looks back, he sees Rhino bouncing off the webbing, landing right on top of him. He pulls himself out of the ground, stating, "You're both dead men!" And then one of the child soldiers walks up, creating a blinding flash, stunning both Miles and Rhino. As the two regain their ability to see, they see Tombstone has escaped, but they do find something else instead. A room full of child soldiers. Miles says that they have to get these kids to a safe place, and they need to find Tombstone and whoever sold them these kids. But they can't go in guns blazing. They have to figure out something. Just don't know how to pull it off. And that's when a voice says, "Well, young man, you're not doing it alone anymore." Miles and Rhino both turn back to see Captain America standing there. Cap shakes Miles' hand, telling him, "Hello again, Spider-Man. It's been a while." And Miles grabs Cap's hand, telling him, "It's so good to see you." Rhino clears his throat, and Miles introduces him. This is... But Cap stops him. "I know. Rhino. We've met. What are you up to?" And Rhino yells, "Hey, I ain't done nothing wrong this time. I'm just trying to find a lost kid." Miles tells Cap that Rhino is telling the truth, and they started to work together. And Cap says, "All right, well, that's good enough for me then. I'm here at the request of a congresswoman. She's investigating children who have gone missing in the foster care system. So what have you guys learned?" Miles and Rhino explain what they know about the current situation, and Cap says that they're going to find them. "Just give me a few minutes to make some phone calls." Outside, Miles notices the tire marks leaving the scene, and he says that they all look normal, but they have a funky residue on them. Cap pulls out his phone, stating that Tony installed an app on this thing where they can send information to a lab and get results back instantly. Just having a little trouble with... Miles takes the phone, telling him he'll take care of it, and there we go. As the phone scans the ground, the readings come back, and Miles says that it shows the residue is mostly diesel fuel and canal water. Cap stops him. "Canal? Here? This has to mean..." But at the same time, both Miles and Cap yell, "Gowanus!" Cap yells, asking, "Aren't you a Queens guy?" And Miles tells him, "That's the other dude." So Miles goes back to looking at the phone, and he says that there's something else here. Pembrokium sulfate. And he says that it's used in early experiments in attempting to control mutants. Cap looks away, telling him, "I know exactly where they are." Later at the Gowanus Canal, the three look over at a large warehouse, and Cap says, "This is it. The warehouse was once a great super secret shield facility designed to hold mutants. Not criminals, just mutants. If the need came," they said. Rhino shouts, "Let's go then!" And Cap holds him back, telling him, "There are children in there. We need more information before we can go knocking down doors. Spider-Man, what do you think?" Miles stops for a moment and realizes that Captain America just asked what he thought. This is so cool. He'll scout ahead, and if they hear any loud noises, come and kick and butt. Miles sneaks into the warehouse, but as he lands, he feels like something is wrong. There isn't anything here. At that moment, a child shoots out a blast of fire, narrowly missing him, and Miles yells, "Yo, Cap! Rhino! They're ready for us!" Cap and Rhino come charging in, while the kids all begin to fight the heroes back. Rhino yells that he's going to run right through them. But Cat gets back up, pushing him back, telling him, "You might be a criminal, but you're better than this." Rhino stops, telling him, okay. Sometimes the mad just takes over." Miles quickly begins to web up the room to restrain the kids, and he says that he has an idea. If he spreads a mild venom blast across the webbing, it should gently knock the kids out. Cap shields himself from an elastic punch, telling him, "I trust you." So Miles shocks the webbing, knocking the kids out, and then a voice says that they should have handled the losers themselves. A bearded man walks out, telling him, "You guys can call me Snatcher." Cap asks, "Are you the one taking all these children?" And Snatcher tells him, "Damn right I am. And just so you know, I only take children from the scum that sleeps on the streets, dirt that ignores their borders, garbage that fills our veins with poison." Rhino then asks, "Why are we letting this guy yap? Let's end it." Snatcher lifts up his sunglasses, revealing a red glow in his eyes, and he tells him, "You ain't gonna do nothing. I'll show you why they call me the Snatcher." As everyone suddenly stops moving, they groan in pain. And Snatcher says, "Sometimes it hurts people when I snatch. Turns their brains into jello just before they die. Except something different happens with the kids. They become obedient, even sold off a few." As Snatcher focuses attention on Cap, Miles and Rhino break free of the control, with Miles telling Rhino to quickly get the kids out. While Snatcher monologues to Captain America, Miles takes the time to web him up and punch him down, telling him that they're done here. And Snatcher asks, "Is that what you think? I got one more trick." Everyone looks up, and all of the kids are pointing their guns at each other. And the two closest are Eduardo and the niece that Rhino is looking for, Tanya. Snatcher gets up, tearing off the webbing, stating, "All these kids are..." But Eduardo then struggles and says that he doesn't want this. Snatcher looks back, asking, "What did you say?" "I own you! Just need to focus more concentration on you." But Miles swings into Snatcher with a fully charged venom blast, and soon everyone under Snatcher's influence begins to come to. Miles helps Cap up, asking if he's okay, and Cap says that his head's a little scrambled, but he'll be fine. Give him a moment to make a few phone calls and get this all taken care of. So after Cap has his team come in to clear things up, Miles tells Rhino that it looks like this is adios. Glad to see him working on the good side for once. Rhino looks at Miles and punches him in the arm, telling him, "You're all right, kid." And with everything returning back to normal, Eduardo safely back at his family, Miles takes Barbara out, and they go enjoy a good movie. And there you have it, the first 3 issues of Miles Morales after the most recent reboot. Now, quick rundown of the Miles Morales situation. Originally, he was a replacement for the Ultimate Spider-Man in that universe, and then basically he kept merging over with the main universe, and then they had the Battle World situation in which they merged the Ultimate Universe into the main universe so that Miles is a part of this universe. As it stands right now, Miles is aware of his original universe, but he is a part of the 616 universe with the main Spider-Man. And as far as the timeline is concerned, he has been here since the beginning because they rewrote the timeline. So even though he's from the Ultimate Universe, that is it. They're trying to fix his origins, and I think this is as close as we're going to get unless there's a true reboot of Miles Morales. But you guys know that the video game was recently announced. I want to get your guys' opinions on that. Are you excited about it? Do you want to play that game? Because I know I am. And if you want more Miles Morales Spider-Man on a weekly or every other week basis until we catch up on the current storyline, give this video a like, share it with your friends. The more response we get on this video, the more I know we have people that want to watch Miles Morales Spider-Man. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you next time right here.